revealed how a $1,000 dream sparked an incredible journey to build a billion-dollar empire. In a bustling small town, where the hum of wealth melded with the grit of everyday life, Sarah Jenkins, a 28-year-old waitress by day, was on the brink of something monumental. With frayed dreams fueling her soul, she clutched a crisp dollar bill and felt the weight of her mother Mary's $1,000 loan. That meager sum, a lifeline, ignited a fire in Sarah's heart. She saw threads of possibility weaving into a sustainable fashion brand that could change lives. Her life. Each evening, after rushing through tables at the diner, she transformed scraps of fabric in her cramped bedroom. The clatter of her sewing machine was a rhythmic reminder of hope. Sarah often felt like a ghost in her own town, overlooked, undervalued. The rich tourists strolled by, blind to the hard work that fueled their comforts. Economic inequality draped itself over her dreams like a heavy curtain, but she was determined to tear it down. Conflict brewed at home. Mary sat at the kitchen table, fingers stained with flour from her baking, worry etched in every crease of her brow. "Sarah, this isn't practical," she urged, each word tinged with fear. "You need stability, not dreams." Her younger brother Ben, ambitious and sharp, echoed their mother's sentiment. "You're wasting your time. This isn't some fairy tale, sis." His concerns gnawed at her through the flickering kitchen light, their voices tangled in the air, thick as the dough Mary needed, but a flicker of opportunity shone through the haze. Sarah discovered a prestigious fashion competition promising to launch her aspirations into reality, a chance to showcase her designs to the world. Her heart raced with anticipation and fear. Could this be it? Amidst the chaos, fabric shortages loomed, and self-doubt clawed at her during sleepless nights. Yet, destiny had a way of surprising her. Enter Charlie, the grizzled veteran running the thrift store down the street. He recognized her fight, the spark behind her eyes. "Keep going, Sarah," he'd say, recounting his own battles with resilience and hope. "Stay true." His words were a lifeline, vibrant against the drab backdrop of her struggles. As the competition approached, a corporate giant emerged like a dark cloud, offering security wrapped in shiny promises. $250,000, they dangled in front of her. But at what cost? Her dreams felt like fragile glass. Would she sell out for a quick win? Friends rallied around her, sharing the importance of her designs. They weren't just clothing. They were symbols of hope in a world rife with inequality. Just as she was finding her ground, the competition loomed ahead. The spotlight would soon be on her. But then a scandal broke. A story revealed her struggles, questioning her place in the industry. Her heart raced. Was she ready? In the moments before stepping on stage, the weight of her past and the promise of her dreams collided, setting off an electrifying tension that could alter everything. Would Sarah unveil her truth, energizing a movement, or would the fear of judgment still her voice? The answer lingered in the air, ripe with possibility, leading into an uncertain but hopeful future. Sarah stood backstage, her heart thudding against her ribcage like a drum. The lights were bright, casting harsh shadows. She clutched the fabric swatches in her hands, their faded colors a reminder of every late night she spent sewing and dreaming. With each passing moment, the weight of expectation pressed down on her, her family's anxieties, her own worries, and the looming presence of the corporate giant. The announcer's voice reverberated through the air, each word sharp and echoing. "And now we welcome our next competitor, Sarah Jenkins." As she stepped into the spotlight, she felt as if the world tilted beneath her. Cameras flashed, capturing every angle of her nervous smile. But as she stood there, seeing the sea of faces, some excited, some skeptical, she searched for the familiar spark of encouragement. Charlie's words floated to the forefront of her mind. "Stay true." Taking a deep breath, she glanced at the audience gathered before her. She recognized a few faces. Her friends from the diner, cheering like they'd just won the lottery, and even her brother Ben, towing the line between pride and concern. Her mother was not there, likely still at home, feeling anxious, her hands busy with flour. Sarah pushed those thoughts aside and focused on the moment. Music played softly, a melancholic beat that wove itself into her heartstrings. She took a step forward, pushed her shoulders back. "Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Jenkins, and I've been fighting for a chance. For a voice." The words spilled out, a rush of adrenaline and truth. She spoke about her passion for sustainable fashion, how every piece she created was woven with hope, and about the struggles she faced just to be here. The audience began to lean in closer, their initial skepticism melting into interest. But just as confidence surged within her, she hesitated. The dark cloud of scandal loomed overhead. She thought about the article that painted her as an underdog unworthy of success, a mere waitress with aspirations too grand. Would this revelation shatter what she had built? Or would it fuel her fire? "I know that my journey isn't typical. It's messy, it's real, and it's mine," she declared, feeling a spark ignite inside. "I'm not just another designer. I'm a voice for those who are overlooked. My clothes are a celebration of our struggles and our triumphs. They tell a story, our story." A hush fell over the crowd. In that moment, Sarah saw a flicker of understanding in their eyes. This was bigger than her dreams. It was a call to action, a chance to change lives through the very fabric of her work. She unveiled her collection, each piece a testament to resilience. Dresses made from recycled materials, jackets spattered with colors reminiscent of graffiti art, and accessories crafted to tell stories of hope and injustice. As she walked down the runway, the music crescendoed, and with every step, she felt lighter, emboldened by the truth she wore. Applause erupted, echoing like thunder. Some in the crowd stood, their cheers growing louder. Just when Sarah thought she could relax, she spotted a familiar figure. The CEO of the corporate giant who had tried to lure her in with lucrative offers. He was nodding, a sly smile spreading across his face. Suddenly, anxiety gripped her again. What would he think? Would he twist her story as the article did? Would he try to claim her vision for his own gain? Sarah took a deep breath, scanning the audience. She could not turn back now. Not when hearts swelled with the potential for change. "This is just the beginning," she shouted, her voice carrying over the applause as she made her last turn down the runway. Uncertainty echoed in her mind. The competition was only halfway through, and with the next challenge looming, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was just beginning. What sacrifices would she have to make to stay true to her vision? With that thought racing through her mind, she felt the tap of feet behind her, and the spotlight seemed to shift. Something told her the real story was yet to unfold. Would she be able to grasp the courage to stand her ground? And in that moment, everything felt like a fragile dream, teetering on the edge of a new beginning. Sarah stepped off the runway, her heart still pounding, and the applause ringing in her ears like an electrifying echo. She was met with a wave of warmth from her friends, their laughter a stark contrast to the anxiety swirling inside her. They engulfed her in hugs, their eyes sparkling with uncontained excitement. For a moment, she was safe, just a girl in a room full of dreams, buoyed by support. But as she glanced back toward the stage, the CO's presence loomed like a shadow. She felt a weight in her stomach. Was this truly a victory? Or was it merely the calm before a storm? "Sarah, you were amazing," one of her friends exclaimed, pulling her from the tide of thoughts. "Thanks. I can't believe how loud they cheered," Sarah replied, forcing a smile. Every cheer quickly faded into the background noise of potential conflicts that awaited her. "I saw Mr. Smith watching you," Ben said, his expression shifting from pride to concern. "What if he tries to get you on his team?" The thought sent a shudder down her spine. She had no desire to be another pawn in a corporate game. Those bright, colorful designs she created were not just fashion. They represented a fight, a challenge against the status quo. "I need to stay true to myself," she murmured, the reality of that statement heavy on her shoulders. Moments later, as the crowd began to dissipate, Sarah sought refuge in the quiet behind-stage area. She leaned against the cool wall, heart racing. Fear and ambition battled inside her. Would she risk everything she had built just to fit into someone else's mold? When Charlie found her, his presence a calming balm. "Hey, superstar. What's up?" he said, a knowing grin on his face. "I don't know, Charlie. I feel like I'm standing on a cliff's edge." She gestured towards the chaos unfolding beyond the curtains. "They're all cheering for me. But what if I can't keep up the momentum?" "Just remember," Charlie said, leaning in closer, "you didn't get here because of a fancy corporate label. You got here because you are raw talent, and your passion is undeniable. You have a voice, Sarah, don't let anyone drown it out." His words filled her with a renewed sense of strength. Taking a deep breath, she nodded. "You're right. It's my story to tell, not theirs." But before she could fully embrace her resolve, a figure approached Mr. Smith, the CEO, clad in his tailored suit, walked towards her with a calculated smile. He cut through the crowd with purpose, eyes locked on Sarah. The air grew stifling thick as everyone else seemed to fade into the background. "Sarah Jenkins," he began, his voice smooth yet commanding. "That was quite the presentation. You certainly have everyone buzzing." "Thanks," she replied, her voice firm, though she felt her heart slam against her ribs. "I poured my heart into it. I can see that. I could help take this to the next level if you're interested. Partnership could benefit us both." His cool demeanor clashed against her fiery spirit. Sarah felt a flicker of outrage bubbling up. This man saw only dollar signs, not the passion behind her work. "I appreciate the offer, but I'm not looking to sell my dreams," she countered, her voice stronger than she felt. But dreams can be lucrative," he responded, his smile widening. "Think about it. You're talented, yes, but without the right connections, how far do you think you'll go?" Even as he spoke, she could see her friends watching, tension etched on their faces. They stood as a reminder of who she was fighting for, not just herself. This wasn't just about the competition anymore. With her pulse racing, Sarah took a step closer, defiance rising within her. "I'll go as far as I need to on my own terms. I don't need someone like you to validate my journey." Surprise flickered across his face, quickly replaced by a predatory grin. "Let us see if that bravado lasts through the next challenge. I do hope you're ready for what's coming next." With that, he turned, effortlessly disappearing back into the crowd as she stood rooted in place. The weight of his words pressing down like lead, her heart raced. She had just declared war on doubt and intimidation, but a new reality set in. What lay ahead in the next round? Sarah knew deep down that this was just the beginning of a far greater struggle. How far could she go without losing herself? And would her voice be enough against the forces working to silence it? The challenge was about to shift, and she was standing at the forefront, ready for whatever would come next. But would she be able to hold onto the fire that burned within her? The silence that followed Mr. Smith's departure felt heavy, like a thick fog settling in after a storm. Sarah stood still, her heart racing as she processed what had just happened. The cheers of her friends felt distant now, muffled against the chaos inside her mind. She was proud of her work, but could she face the daunting path ahead? "Sarah, come on. What just happened?" Ben rushed towards her, concern etched on his face. The energy around her friends shifted. Excitement twisted into apprehension as they sensed the tension in her demeanor. "Mr. Smith wants to partner with me," she admitted, the words feeling foreign in her mouth. "He thinks I should sell my dreams. I turned him down." "Good." Charlie jumped in, a fierce look of solidarity crossing his features. "It's your vision. You can't let anyone else control it." "Yeah, but..." She hesitated, looking into her friends' faces. "What if I'm not good enough on my own? What if he's right? What if all I've built crumbles the moment I step away from him?" "Your designs are brilliant, Sarah," Ben urged, crossing his arms. "They're not just fabric and thread, they're a statement. You have something special." She wanted to believe that, to feel the warmth of their support wrap around her like a blanket. But doubt and fear nibbled at her resolve. "I don't want to compromise who I am to climb some corporate ladder," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "But what if I need to play the game?" Charlie stepped forward, his tone serious. "You can make your own moves. Shape your own game. This is your dream, and it deserves to be fought for. But just know, challenges will come. It won't be easy." With that, Sarah inhaled a sharp breath, determination hardening within her. Then bring it on. I'm ready for the next round. The energy shifted back in the room as her friends cheered her on. They were loyal, fierce, and she felt gratitude swell in her chest. They understood her, perhaps more than she understood herself right now. The night deepened around them, and Sarah felt a new resolve forming. She left the backstage area with her friends, stepping back into the limelight they had created for her as the crowd thinned. A familiar face caught her eye: Maya, a local influencer who had supported her designs since the beginning. Cautious yet excited, she approached Sarah. You took a stand today, she smiled. Not everyone would have the courage to turn down an offer like that. Thanks, Maya. I just hope it doesn't bite me later, Sarah replied, biting her lip. It won't, Maya assured, glancing around, then lowering her voice. Be careful. Your voice is powerful, but it could also provoke jealousy. I've seen how some can react when threatened. The warning hung in the air between them, chilling her. You think they'll come after me? They already are, Maya said softly. Some aren't pleased with your strength and might try to silence it. Just stay alert. A wave of vulnerability washed over Sarah, but she steeled herself. I have to keep moving forward, for myself and for everyone who believes in me. So do it, girl. Break the mold, Maya encouraged, a spark of admiration in her eyes. That spark gave Sarah courage. She couldn't let fear dictate her choices. They exited the venue together, the crisp night air invigorating. Soon, they arrived at a small gathering nearby where young designers could showcase their work, and Sarah felt a flicker of hope. Let us show them what we can do, she declared as her friends rallied around her. But that sense of hope was fleeting. As they neared the entrance, Sarah spotted a group of designers whispering, glancing her way, their expressions a mix of envy and disdain. The shadows of doubt crept back, tightening around her. Will I really be able to withstand the storm? She wondered. The night held promise, but also uncertainty. She was ready to step into the challenge ahead, but would her resolve be enough against such fierce opposition? With a determined smile, Sarah took the plunge. But as she did, a small, nagging doubt whispered in her ear. What if this battle was just the beginning of something far more tumultuous? The atmosphere in the gathering surged with energy, pulsating like a living thing. Sarah felt the buzz of voices and laughter, but her heart hammered heavily in her chest. She stepped through the door, her senses on high alert. The art and fashion hung on the walls like a collective heartbeat, vibrant and alive, a reminder of what could be achieved. Stay close, she whispered to Ben and Charlie, who flanked her. They nodded, their faces a mix of encouragement and concern as they ventured deeper. Sarah spotted her work displayed proudly alongside others in the small venue. Each piece told its own story, weaving threads of ambition, creativity, and, yes, fear. However, the thrill of showcasing her creations was dimmed by that chilling warning from Maya, the potential threats lurking in the crowd. Sarah's mind wandered as she scanned the room. She glanced at the group of whispering designers again. Their eyes flickered over her, and a tight knot formed in her stomach. Just then, she caught the eye of one of them, a tall woman with striking red hair, known for her cutting critiques. Her smirk sliced through the air like a knife. Let us go mingle, Charlie suggested, clearly trying to keep the mood light. Right, mingling. Sarah forced a smile, but it felt fragile. They approached a cluster of fellow designers, who were chatting excitedly about their latest collections. Sarah desperately tried to join in. Did you see the new prints? One designer gushed. They're this season's must-haves. Absolutely. The colors pop, Sarah added, her voice a little louder than she intended. The laughter flowed easily around her, but in the back of her mind, she felt the weighty stare aimed from the red-haired woman. Hey Sarah! Another familiar face approached Andre, a longtime rival. Heard you made a splash earlier. Quite bold to turn down Mr. Smith. That LL shake things up. Thanks, she replied, tilting her head. You know, people love a train wreck. Just don't become one yourself, he said with a smirk, walking away too casually, the laughter of others echoing in his wake. Anger bubbled in her chest, but she choked it down. Let it go, Ben whispered, sensing the turmoil. Yeah, easy for you to say. Feeling cornered, Sarah excused herself and wandered to a quieter corner. She could feel the eyes on her, the weight of expectations and judgments like a heavy cloak. The mingling, vibrant colors of the room faded beneath her uncertainty. Her resolve flickered. Did she really want to fight through this? Was it worth the battle? Sarah. Maya's voice broke through her spiraling thoughts. She appeared, practically glowing with her own excitement. You have to see this. Your pieces are a hit. She pulled Sarah by the hand towards the center of the room, where a small crowd had gathered around her display, discussing her work with fervor. Suddenly, Sarah's heart soared. Voices mixed into a harmonious blend of admiration, her earlier doubts fading for just a moment. She felt the pull of hope whispering promises of greatness. Look at this, a young designer exclaimed, pointing at one of her dresses. The way you've combined modern cuts with classic patterns, it's genius. Senti it? Such a fresh take. Another chimed in. For a second, she reveled in the warmth of approval, her heart lifting. Could she truly push through the negativity? Just as she opened her mouth to speak, she caught the red-haired woman glaring from across the room, a storm brewing behind her eyes. Sarah, don't let them get to you, Maya said, her voice filled with urgency. You're making waves, but sometimes waves crash. It's only the beginning, Sarah whispered, swallowing hard. What began as a small flicker of hope was overshadowed by the oppressive presence of jealousy. She knew she had to prepare for what was next, not just the hard work, but the challenges that could become even more personal. As the recognition surrounded her, she realized it wouldn't just be a fight for her art, but a battle for her voice in this chaotic world. How would she defend it? Before she could answer, Charlie grabbed her arm, gesturing towards the entrance. A new group had arrived, and Sarah's heart sank at their familiar faces. This wasn't going to be just a night of celebration. It was clearly the calm before a tempest. Who is that? She asked, her stomach twisting. Looks like trouble, Ben replied, his expression shifting. The door swung wide open as they stepped out, and in that moment, Sarah felt the air crackle with intensity. Would she rise above or be washed away in the tide of envy and rivalry? As she squared her shoulders, preparing to face the challenge, a thought struck her. What if the real fight was just beginning? Sarah's breath hitched as she turned to face the newcomers. The trio that emerged seemed to slice through the air with an air of authority. Each one of them appeared to be a seasoned designer, their reputations etched into the whispers trailing behind them like a wake of chaos in an otherwise serene sea. Look who it is, Maya said, her words laced with a hint of trepidation. That's Lisa, Jordan, and Max. They work with all the big names. If they're here, it could be trouble or a breakthrough. Sarah's mind raced. The possibilities of recognition sparked hope, but the specter of doubt chased it down. She tightened her grip on the clipboard she had unconsciously been clutching, a physical reminder of her own intricate designs, of hours spent pouring her soul onto fabric. Just breathe, Ben whispered. His presence grounded her in a strange way, but she could feel her heart pounding, each beat louder than the last. Everyone in the room turned to see the ninjas of the industry, their eyes glowing with curiosity and ambition. Stay sharp, Charlie murmured, his gaze fixed on the trio. They like to play games. The crowd parted, and Lisa, the tall one with sharp features and an edgy haircut, approached Sarah. Her penetrating eyes zeroed in on Sarah's display, glints of interest mixing with something far more menacing. Quite the collection you have here, Sarah, Lisa said with a sly smile, her voice smooth as silk but edged with starch. Did you really think you could get away with that piece? She pointed to a radiant dress that had caught the light beautifully, throwing patterns of color across the floor. Sarah felt the color drain from her face. It's an exploration of fabric and silhouette. She stuttered, desperately grasping at words while trying to steel her nerves. Exploration? Interesting choice, Lisa replied, tilting her head. I hope you're prepared to defend it. Art is subjective after all. Maya stepped closer, ready to retaliate, but Ben placed a hand on her arm. Let her do this, he said, an unyielding strength in his voice. Clearing her throat, Sarah gathered her thoughts. I'm proud of my work. It's not just fabric stitched together. It represents individuality, breaking boundaries. Max, a softer-spoken member of the trio, watched with an amused expression, leaning in as if savoring the moment. Breaking boundaries is great, but the industry is a tough one, Sarah. Are you ready for that? With every passing moment, the tension in the air thickened. Sarah struggled with the urge to retreat, to vanish into the shadows, but a flicker of resolve ignited within her. All eyes were on her, waiting. I know it's tough, she declared, her voice gaining strength. But art needs to push boundaries. It needs to say something. This dress says, I want to be silenced. Bold? Lisa remarked, her smirk softening just a bit. But bold can also mean reckless. The unease began to weave itself again, coiling darkly around her heart. Would she become the artist that turned tradition on its head, or the fool who misstepped on a tightrope? And then the unthinkable happened. I'd like to see this piece up close, Lisa said, gesturing towards the dress. Let us see if the hype matches the craftsmanship. Before Sarah could process the request, the red-haired woman crossed through the crowd, now standing side by side with the trio, her voice ringing louder than any conversation. I wouldn't get too comfortable, darling, she drawled, eyes fixed on Sarah, a predator stalking her prey. This is more than just a showcase. The crowd hushed. Sarah felt their breath combined, eager for the rebuttal. Maya squeezed Sarah's arm, eyes wide with excitement and trepidation, urging her to show strength. Statues of doubt and worry crumbled under the weight of her resolve. I think even the toughest critics can be surprised, Sarah shot back, surprising even herself as the challenge settled in the air. She felt the crowd stir with interest, their faces shifting from indifference to intrigue. But one question loomed heavily in the back of her mind. Could she handle the storm brewing? Right before her? Just then, a shout rang out from the entrance. Let us get this party started. The lights flickered, and suddenly the mood shifted as laughter erupted from the back. All eyes swung to see what was happening as Sarah turned. Dread enveloped her. What had she walked into? With every moment passing, she understood this night was no longer just about fashion, it was a survival of the fittest. A debate for identity and space in an unforgiving world. And just like that, Sarah knew she was standing on the precipice of everything she ever dreamed about. But could she grasp it before it slipped away? How long before the winds of envy blew against her? The echoes of laughter blended with the pulse of the music, creating an electric atmosphere that buzzed with anticipation. Sarah turned back to the trio, heart racing, unsure of what to do next. The spotlight now hung heavier than ever, shining down on her like a sun intently observing its orbiting planet. Lisa seemed unfazed, leaning closer to the dress, her fingers brushing against the fabric with a reverence that felt almost mocking. Fascinating texture, she mused, eyes narrowing as though she were analyzing a rare specimen. But can it withstand scrutiny? Around them, whispers flitted through the crowd. Some virtually drooled over the potential spectacle. This was the kind of drama they lived for in the fashion world. Others seemed genuinely invested in Sarah's response. She took a deep breath, feeling both the warmth of invigoration and the chill of fear. That piece is more than just a dress, Sarah declared, stepping closer, heart thudding in her chest. She fought to keep her voice steady. It's a story of resilience and transformation. Like me, it underwent challenges, but in the end, it stands proud, ready to take on the world. Max's gaze flickered with surprise, and, for a split second, she thought she saw a glimmer of respect. A bold statement. But tell me, Sarah, what if the world doesn't want to celebrate your story? There it was, the trap they set for creators like her. Her throat tightened around the question, as if it were a noose wrapping around her thoughts. But she refused to be ensnared any longer. Then I will change the conversation, she answered fiercely, the resolve sharpening in her voice. Every artist faces hurdles, but we evolve. If I have to fight to be seen or heard, I will. Nothing will dim my light. The silence that followed was profound. The audience, caught between disbelief and admiration, exchanged glances, weighing her words. Sarah's heart raced, knowing the response could turn either way. To her surprise, Lisa's smirk softened once again, a hint of amusement dancing in her eyes. Spoken like a true designer. But are you truly ready to face the backlash? Because the industry doesn't reward the meek. With that, the thrumming beats of the party suddenly intensified, the air palpably shifting. Laughter erupted once more, and heads turned toward the entrance to witness a group of high-profile guests, industry veterans, critics, and influencers entering the fray. The crowd parted like the Red Sea, revealing a striking figure at the center. Sophia, the queen of haute couture, her presence like a gravitational force pulling attention. Sarah, she called, waving a hand, beckoning her forward. Time seemed to stand still. Sarah froze. This was no ordinary invitation. Sophia was a legend, a woman whose very gaze could make or break careers with the flick of an eyebrow. Recognition ignited in the room, whispers cascading like ripples across a lake. "Are you ready for your moment?" Ben murmured, his encouragement tugging at her heart. He believed in her. I don't know," Sarah whispered, feeling as if she were teetering on the brink of something monumental. The crowd watched, breath held tight with expectation, eyes glimmering with the possibility of her next move. Taking a final, deep breath, Sarah nodded. With renewed courage rising from within, she stepped away from the trio, leaving behind the oppressive tension that had threatened to constrict her voice. This was her moment, her dream unfolding before her. But as she approached Sophia, an unsettling feeling crept into her mind. Would she truly be able to keep the promise she made to herself? And just as she reached for the opportunity that lingered before her like a pearl in the sand, whispers erupted once more, this time insistent, foreboding. "Did you hear? They're planning to reveal a scandal that could change everything." With her heart pounding, Sarah turned slightly, curiosity piqued. What was this new chaos that loomed on the horizon? Could she survive the storm that threatened to unfold just as her journey was beginning? As Sarah made her way through the sea of expectant faces, her skin prickled with a mix of fear and exhilaration. The whispers about the impending scandal snaked through her thoughts, merging with the pounding beat of the music. Did she even want to step into this world if it was filled with chaos and deceit? Sophia waved again, her gesture purposeful. "Come on, darling. Don't keep me waiting." Something inside Sarah shifted. This was the moment that could define her future. She took a deep breath, brushed her nerves aside, and walked toward the fashion icon. For every step she took, her resolve strengthened. Beneath the glamour and glitz stood an opportunity to share her story, to show others they too could overcome their odds. "I'm so excited to see your work," Sophia said as Sarah approached, her voice smooth like silk but with an unmistakable urgency. "Everyone's talking about you. I want to see this focus you've got on resilience." "Thank you for the opportunity," Sarah replied, her voice steady and clear. "I believe in the stories we tell through our creations. They have the power to inspire." Sophia's eyes sparkled with amusement. "That's what I like to hear. But remember, those stories often come with risks." Sarah swallowed hard as she felt a sudden weight on her chest. "What do you mean?" Before Sophia could answer, one of the high-profile critics slipped through the crowd, his reputation for ruthless critiques preceding him. "I hope you're prepared for the scrutiny, dear." His voice dripped with condescension, every word a dagger aimed straight at her confidence. Sophia shifted her stance slightly, as if ready to defend Sarah. "Let us not discourage the young creatives, shall we?" But the critic just laughed, barely diverting his gaze. "This industry eats the weak alive." A chill ran down Sarah's spine. Could she be weak? Her earlier resolve wavered like a fragile thread about to snap under pressure. As the critic sauntered off, Sarah turned back to Sophia, eyes narrowed. "I refuse to be silenced. I want to show that vulnerability can lead to strength." Sophia's expression softened, the intensity behind her gaze lifting for a moment. "That's the spirit. Channel that fire. But be prepared, the way you present yourself matters. This isn't just about the fashion. It's about the attitude. Just then, the whispers in the crowd intensified. Did you hear? They say a major designer is about to unveil a scandal that involves Sophia. Something about debts and betrayal. Sarah's heart staggered. For a moment, everything felt surreal, like she was watching a dark storm silently brewing overhead. Could the whirlwind of rumors engulf Sophia too? Would everyone be dissecting her, just like they done with Sarah moments before? You can't let that affect you, Sophia said, breaking Sarah's concentration. Focus on your dress, on your brand. Your voice matters. For a brief moment, Sarah forgot about everything else. It was just her and Sophia, two creators navigating a treacherous sea. You mean you really think I can do this? Absolutely. Just remember, the world thrives on conflict, but it craves authenticity even more. Keep that fire within you. With the crowd buzzing around them, her fears began to melt away. Perhaps the storms ahead were just part of the journey. But as a sudden gasp erupted from the crowd, shock and excitement taking hold, Sarah felt the darkness creeping in once more. What now? She wondered, glancing around. As people pointed and murmured, she caught sight of a figure entering, one that struck a visceral reaction deep within her. It wasn't just any figure. It was someone from her past, someone who could threaten her very dream. Would her past creep in and undermine her future? Her heart raced as the figure stepped into the room, a face both familiar and terrifying. Jason. The name echoed in her mind like a haunting melody she couldn't shake. Just seeing him sent a surge of old insecurities rushing back, memories of heartbreak intertwined with dreams that had begun nowhere near the dizzy heights she was aiming for now. The crowd swirled around him, drawn in by his magnetic presence. His charm had always been intoxicating, and it didn't seem like it had faded a bit. His smile was confident, but there was something in his eyes. Was it regret? Or was it merely the glint of opportunism she remembered? Sarah, he called out, weaving through the throng, and her gut tightened with each step he took toward her. Long time no see, Jason, she replied, forcing the word out with an intensity that felt artificial. The startled whispers grew louder, rippling through the audience as though he were a storm making landfall. What are you doing here? I came to support a friend, but it looks like the fates have intertwined our paths again, he said, a smug smile painting his lips. Deep down, Sarah felt the vulnerability creep back in, like cold fingers wrapping around her heart. How could she thrive in this high-stakes arena with him lurking in the shadows? Memories washed over her, her dreams, her aspirations, and the bitterness that had grown between them. Can we talk? He asked, his tone suddenly sincere, contradicting the laughter from the crowds encircling them. What's there to talk about? She snapped, the bite in her voice surprising even herself. She had fought hard to get to this moment, and here he was, threatening to unravel everything. Listen, he implored, stepping in closer, his expression softening. I know things ended badly, but I want you to know how proud I am of you. Proud? After all these years? The word caught her off guard, along with a flicker of something almost like hope, but she quickly cloaked it in doubt. You don't really mean that. Of course I do, he said, his eyes searching hers. You're doing something incredible. You've always had that fire. I just want to be part of it. Part of it? Her voice wavered, confusion stealing her thoughts. You think you can just show up and waltz in like nothing ever happened? The crowd shifted, attention glued on them as they watched the drama unfold. That was how the fashion world operated. The eager spectators ready to feast on any conflict, ready to judge. Tell me you weren't thinking of using this as a launchpad for yourself? You never changed. She was a splash of ice water, her anger fueling her panic further. What do you want, Jason? This isn't a game. I want a second chance, he stated finally, the sincerity in his voice ringing clearer than the flashy music around them. Sarah's heart raced. A second chance. But was it for them or for his own ambitions? The very question felt like a betrayal of everything she had worked for. Could she really risk letting him back in? Was she prepared to face not only her past with him but the murky waters of her own insecurities? As she wrestled with her thoughts, A new whisper swept through the crowd, one that made her blood run cold. Is it true? Did you hear? There's evidence that could shatter Sophia's career. Sophia. It was as if the winds had shifted, darkening the sky. The looming fears around her blossomed into reality, and suddenly, the risks of this world felt more tangible than ever. Sarah, listen, Jason began. But she didn't hear him. She was lost in the chaos around her, panic rising within. The walls were closing in, and there she stood caught between the shadows of her past and the uncertainty of her future. Would she turn away and allow fear to win again? Or could she confront both Jason and the mystery scandal threatening to unfold? Who could she trust when everything felt like a perilous game? The room swirled with uncertainty. Whispers hung heavy in the air, a palpable tension swirling like an impending storm. Sarah's heart pounded as eyes shifted between her and Jason, curiosity spiking like a live wire. Was this the moment she would crumble under pressure? Or was it the moment she would seize her destiny? Sarah, please, Jason pleaded, his voice low and earnest. But before she could process his words, Sophia's previous words echoed in her mind. This isn't just about the fashion. It's about the attitude. Taking a deep breath, Sarah steadied herself. What you want doesn't matter anymore, Jason, she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. I've moved on. I'm focused on creating something bigger than just me. I won't let you pull me back into our past. The audience stirred, a mixture of awe and disappointment rippling through the crowd, eager for drama, hungry for conflict. But what they didn't anticipate was her resolute stance. Jason's smile faltered, caught off guard by her strength. Around them, the whispers swirled once more. Did you hear about Sophia? There's a scandal brewing. Echoed through the crowd, mirrored by hushed tones of fear and excitement. Sophia, flanked by a few colleagues, looked pale, her composure slipping slightly as the murmurs grew louder. She caught Sarah's eye and nodded seriously. Stay strong, she urged. The shadows of doubt threatened to creep back in as Sarah faced Jason again. This isn't some game to boost your ego. People are counting on me. I have a mission. Jason straightened, a fleeting flicker of admiration crossing his face before he masked it with defiance. But your mission doesn't have to exclude me. We were great together, Sarah. You know it. No, she shot back, anger mixing with the underlying hurt. We were toxic. This time, I'm not getting lost in what-ifs. Just then, as if on cue, Sophia stepped forward amidst the growing crowd, her presence authoritative. Everyone, we need to adjust our focus. What's unfolding here isn't about one person. It's about the future. In that moment, Sarah felt a shift wash over her. The applause built slowly, starting with a few hands before gaining momentum as the crowd rallied around Sophia's confidence. They were not just spectators in this spectacle. They were allies in an ever-pressing fight against the formulaic conformity of the industry. Taking a breath, Sarah dared to step into her power. I'm here to challenge the status quo. This isn't just a dress. It's a statement. My journey is a collective one where everyone can stand up and be counted. The energy in the room shifted. As she spoke, Sarah felt a surge of courage swell within her. It was like the flicker of a candle, gathering strength and spreading light. Our stories matter. Our voices need to be heard. We don't need to bow to traditions that suppress innovation. The crowd erupted into applause, partygoers casting aside the negativity, coming together in solidarity. Faces lit up, smiles spreading like wildfire. The laughter returned, buoyed by hope. Sarah felt the warmth blanket her anxiety. This was about her vision, her truth. Jason recoiled slightly but regained his composure quickly. But what about the whispers? The scandal? His tone was desperate, but the tide had turned against him. Let them whisper, she declared, her voice firm, because what matters are the actions we take, not the petty gossip woven by the jealous. Cheers erupted again. Sophia stepped back, pride glimmering in her eyes. Keep fighting the good fight, Sarah, she said, giving an encouraging thumbs dash up as the chatter of admiration surrounded her. Doubt drifted further and further away. The moment felt electric, alive with potential. This journey was for everyone who had hidden in the shadows, for those who yearned for change and struggled for acceptance in a judgmental world. But before she could soak in the victory, the crowd suddenly hushed. The main critic, who stood previously removed from the drama, had now turned to her, voice booming confidently. Yeah, but how long can you maintain that facade? Everyone wants to watch you fall. Instead of cowering, Sarah stood tall, her heart racing but her spirit unwavering. To be honest, I don't care, because every fall is just a stepping stone. And fall you will, he laughed coldly, shrouding the room back in an aura of doubt. Yet, Sarah felt a newfound strength in her response. No, I won. This industry thrives on connecting, not tearing down. If we come together, we elevate each other. Cheers erupted again from all sides, vibrant and fierce. The noise enveloped her, lifting her higher. The warmth of her friends surrounded her, their support a protective barrier. Sarah, you're unstoppable, Claire yelled from the back, a brilliant smile lighting her face. Just then, Sophia stepped forward with a grin that could brighten the darkest days. The truth is bigger than any scandal, and it's time we celebrate that. The crowd rallied fiercely, chanting Sarah's name. She couldn't help a radiant smile from spreading across her face as the world transformed around her. She was no longer a ghost in her own town, but a powerful force igniting change with each heartbeat. The journey hadn't ended. It was just the beginning. As the energy surged, Sarah knew she had finally embraced her true self, a designer who dared to weave her dreams into reality. There would be hard battles ahead, but as long as she held her ground and embraced her truth, she would claw through any storm, ready to shine brightly in a world that might tremble, but would never break her spirit. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support content like this. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. We want to hear from you. And for the love of inspiration, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share this life-changing message.